apparently there were articles ready to go. If Trump had lost, there were articles ready to go blaming one Tony Hinchcliffe for a loss because of his joke during the Madison Square Garden rally, where he referred to not the people of Puerto Rico, but the island itself of being trash. But the left ran with it. They were like, "Oh, he's a horrible person. He's called Puerto Ricans trash." And what's great about this that not every comedian does, Tony did not apologize.
I did love that.
I respect that so much. Love him or hate him as a comic, he did not back down. The comedian 40 opened the latest episode of his podcast, Kill Tony, by addressing the controversial comments where he joked that Puerto Rico is a floating island of garbage and made other racist remarks. I apologize to what a horrible version of this with all the ads. I apologize to absolutely nobody, Hinchcliffe declared on the episode released Monday, eliciting cheers from his live audience. The show was recorded the day after the Trump rally at MSG, where Hinchcliffe was receiving backlash, and Trump was facing criticism for inviting him to speak. Hinchcliffe said he loves Puerto Ricans who are smart enough to know when they're being used as political fodder. He also insisted the punchline was simply a reference to the fact that Puerto Rico currently has a landfill problem and suggested the joke was poorly received because I'm the only person that knew about this, unfortunately. Yeah, that's true. That's what caused me to look into it. During his rally set, Hinchcliffe told the crowd of Trump supporters, "There's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. I think it's called Puerto Rico." The remark drew widespread rebukes from politicians, including Tim Walz and AOC, as well as Aubrey Plaza, which I think that was like the first time she's publicly mentioned she's Puerto Rican, and Jennifer Lopez. Maybe it's not, but she doesn't really like lean on that. She slammed the joke for being racist, probably just so she could trend and be relevant for a little bit. There are people for whom this is fine. It's just a bad joke. Lighten up. For many of us, this joke is a reminder of how bad it was under Trump and how he treated our people in our moment of need, said Lin-Manuel Miranda. Blah, blah, blah. Good for Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, he didn't just draw criticism from the left. I actually was probably on the right, the person who was criticizing him the most, to be frank. But I do love that he didn't apologize. Now, my distinction here is one with the Puerto Rico thing. He needed to do better context of actually setting that up. And actually would have hit harder. It would have done a lot better. There was, on the right, to be fair, there was actually reports of not only Puerto Ricans who had voted for Trump who were upset, but actually there were people who were going out and door knocking, even though they had voted for Trump, on behalf of Kamala Harris because they were so upset about this joke. So there's two parts of it, right? But in the end, it was the media in a very desperate moment, grasping at straws because Trump had a perfect October. Absolutely crush it. From Hurricane Helene onward, they had misstep after misstep. Meanwhile, he has the McDonald's thing. Elon Musk.
The garbage truck thing.
Yeah, Elon Musk is connecting people with Starlink. He had a perfect month, right? And so this was like the one thing that they could grasp onto. And so the criticism was like, don't give them anything. Now, the other criticism was like the pick of Tony, because I know from my time at doing roasts at the Comedy Store, I did 12 in a year. So I know Tony. I'm pretty familiar with Tony. And I knew that he wouldn't be politically adept enough to really understand the moment and to kind of step into something like that. Whereas, like, if you pick someone like, for instance, Roseanne Barr.
Oh, she would have crushed it. They would have loved her. I saw her at Turning Point. She like even had a disorganized set and she absolutely crushed. They were hanging on every word.
Even if she said something wild, what is the media going to do? Roseanne Barr says something crazy again. That's her thing. They love that. And actually, the thing with Roseanne, when she did her kind of wild stuff, I have a couple clips of them. Like one was like comparing Trump to the bull, and it's so. I mean, she is wild, right? But the audience behind her, you can see they're
Gets
going
it.
ape shit.
Yeah.
They love her. Whereas the audience behind Tony, it was like they were cold, you know?
was a strange pick. And I was like, who booked this? Like, who was in charge of this? And it's like, I know he's probably got great representation. He's had a great year. He's done a lot of roasts. His career is doing really well. But I'm just like, I would have thought of 20 people before I would have picked him.
Oh
to do
yeah,
that kind of a
and
gig.
there's really a million. I mean, you know, for instance, Jimmy Dore would have been
Jimmy Dore. Oh my God. He's so smart and sharp and
he would have been
hilarious.
poignant. He would have understood what. Okay, for instance, I'm gonna give Tony credit right here. The line where God already voted, right? He's not going for a laugh. He's doing what we make fun of comedians for. He's a hack comedian going for applause lines. In that moment, you want to go for the applause lines more so than the laughter, and then kind of sneak in the laughter subtly as you're building equity and connecting with the crowd. Right? That would have been the way that if you'd really thought about it too. He's just going in there. Tony is
with like talking points.
Tony is a hammer and the crowd is a nail. He does one thing and it's very good of what he does. But you're asking then him to adjust, and that's not his thing.
He's a roaster.
It's like inviting Patrice O'Neal. Did you expect good things to happen? Patrice O'Neal is going to do comedy legend stuff, but unfortunately, it's not going to be politically correct. You know, there's a million comedians. For instance, the person I actually thought who deserved it the most, the person I know who's been a conservative the longest as a comedian, and famously so, is Nick DiPaolo.
Yes. Oh my God.
I mean, on Tough Crowd, he was always the conservative guy. Yep. And again, if he had said that stuff, one, he gets a lot larger laughs than Tony. He's really funny. I think he's a New Yorker. He's from back east, right? I don't know if he's from back east.
Yeah.
He can connect with that New York crowd. Even like my comedian friends were making fun of Tony. You're like, you're in a New York crowd and you're like, so I'm from LA, the Comedy Store, and I'm from Austin. That
right. That doesn't go. Nobody cares. Nobody in New York cares about anybody in Austin or LA.
Yeah. So there were missteps of what Tony did. Now, there should have been a comedian there. I'm not saying there shouldn't have been, but again, you could think of 100, and we also know 100 people who aren't on TV that none of the audience really knows that would have just crushed it.
Yeah. Yeah, it did kind of seem a little bit like talking points, and again, like he's a machine when it comes to roasting, and I don't know how many fundraisers or rallies or these kinds of gigs that he's done, but you got to take the gig, right? Any of us would have taken it.
Okay, I've done roast battle, and so studying Don Rickles and the Great Roasters, their whole thing was we're going to make fun of everybody. And he actually did have time to make fun of everybody. And in the end, if you saw the clips, all you saw was that he made fun of Puerto Ricans and black people with
the carving watermelon.
Oh, great. The two groups that we were making huge inroads with. Oh, and that, so those are the other issues, is like he didn't really have, like I had to watch it like a couple times to even hear the Jew joke, really.
Yeah.
It was such a small moment, right? And so it didn't sound like he was making fun of everybody in the classical sense,
right?
Which you're very good at. I love when watching you do crowd work. It's very hard to make people feel like they're in on the joke as opposed to being the butt of the joke. You would have done excellent because you would, you wouldn't have had that. The crowd wouldn't have felt like there was that animosity towards them, and so that's kind of an issue. But I actually one more. I have a comedian friend named Ty Rivera. He did a roast.
He's hilarious.
He did a roast in front of a liberal crowd. 2016, when Trump wasn't cool. He was the only Trump supporting comedian there.
Wow.
And he won the whole crowd over. That's a comedian you guys don't know about who would have destroyed.
Oh, he's very unique. He's very cool. He's like tatted up.
Yeah.
Gay, fabulous, but like
he looks like the
edgy.
Gay Joker,
Yeah.
It's just wild.
Yeah.
You've never seen anything like it, but he is so unique, and he crushes in front of red state audiences specifically. This is why I even like Bill Maher, because he talks about it as a comedian. I still go out for the whole country, and I even do red states. And he was saying red state audiences are far better audiences than blue state audiences.
Way better sense of humor. Blue state audiences are extremely uptight. They're younger. They're college. They're like whatever. They're college educated, but they're dumb in terms of life experience, and it's just
and they're
not a
super
good audience.
judgmental. And
Yeah.
you would know this, but I'll explain this to the audience. So we literally grew up watching the transition of the audience members realizing, oh, people could judge me for laughing at the specific joke. So then,
yes, that never used to be a thing.
When we started doing stand-up, we're now dealing with audience members, even at nobody shows, of being like, oh, I'm going to withhold my laughter because I'm
being observed.
Notion.
Yeah.
That almost never really happened in the 70s. It was either funny or not funny. I'm not saying it was perfect, but it was far more of a meritocracy. Comedians don't realize how much things have shifted in the negative in a lot of different ways historically, from the boom eras of even the 50s all the way up to the 80s.
Well, it's because of cancel culture. Back in the sort of like heyday of stand-up comedy, there were no cell phones. Not everyone had a cell phone. You couldn't be like, oh, like nobody, everyone was focused on the comic, not like, oh, what jokes is everybody looking at? Could I get canceled? Could somebody send footage of me laughing at this joke and send it to my job and then I get fired?
Yeah.
That whole garbage. Love you guys. Thank you for the chats. Thank you for the comments. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Bye. All right. Love you guys. God, I don't even want to leave. This candle smells so good. I don't want to leave. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye. Love you all. Join the Discord. Feet. Love you all. Wow. You guys are awesome. Come and get it. Bye, guys. Bye. Now I'm really leaving. Love you. Bye.